My name is Joe Crawford and I'm the Executive Director for Estill Development Alliance. I will have been with EDA for 15 years in February of 2020. My vision for community development is for even more folks to feel like they're heard and they're moved to get more involved. I want there to be a critical mass of people that feel like they're part of the answer instead of just pointing fingers about the problem.
I am the Operations Assistant for the Estill Development Alliance. I am the Director of Tourism for the Estill County Tourism Commission, and I am the founder of Alight Marketing Agency. I'm involved in a lot of different groups and a lot of aspects of our community from an economic development point and just civic groups. In a lot of groups I'm in, we're having the conversation of how do we make sure people feel welcome and like this is their community too. And we want them to have a claim on this and be able to do this work alongside us. So that's a really big goal of mine, is for people to feel like, you know, there are these groups that exist, and if there isn't a group that exists, you can still do something on your own.
Brushy Fork has been invaluable to the work of EDA and so much of what's going on in Estill County in the last decade plus.
I think it's helped so much. We've used it in a lot of ways. All of our divisions have participated in some way or another, and we have people who got to go through as a part of an EDA program who keep going on their own. I think it's spurred a lot of individual projects and a lot of connections that people use outside of just what EDA does.
On a more regional basis for Eastern Kentucky, I feel kind of the same way, but with the caveat that we, being Eastern Kentucky, we have to reach across the county lines. Making it to where, you know, the river doesn't make us different people. The mountain that splits us doesn't make us completely different people. Odds are somebody in Letcher County, their family traveled in the same group to come through the mountains to settle here as somebody from my family. They just happened to stop in different places. The project I'm definitely most proud of, especially in regards to Brushy Fork, would have to be Leadership LEAP. LEAP started as Leadership Estill County, and it was funded by an ARC Flexi grant through Brushy Fork.
It's a regional leadership program. It's one day a month, and you go to different counties and learn about kind of their assets and what they have to offer, and it fosters networking in the region and sort of making connections with people who may not know each other just because they're in different counties.
We've had over 115 folks complete the program, and we're about to finish up our 10th year. So to see that network grow, to see those participants move on to have more active roles, not just in Estill County, but in the region, it's rewarding to say the least, and we never could have gotten it started without Brushy Fork.
A lot of the things that the EDA is involved in, especially LEAP, is very big on regionalism, because we're all small and we're all doing a lot of really great stuff, but if we work together, it just sort of raises everybody up and we can pool our resources and really get more done and help and cross-promote and benefit everybody a lot more if we just work together.
We have to deal with a lot of the same issues. We're really not that different. And I'm hoping, especially not just with Leadership LEAP, that's our small attempt, but with the efforts going on by so many different groups to get people together. You know, if you're on opposite sides of the mountain, you may live your entire life and never know a lot of the folks on the other side just because you don't interact on a daily basis. So giving people those opportunities to see that we're a lot alike, and then when we work together, we're stronger than we ever could be apart. Intergenerational communication. It's kind of a buzzword, but that's something that any community leader worth his or her salt is trying to figure out.
One of the huge barriers were people wanted us for work, not for ideas. So like, yeah, come on, y'all come help, but this is how we do it, and this is how it will be done. And so it's like, you know, there was no buy-in. It was like, you know, you're here basically to do the grunt work. So that was a really large barrier. And then just the timing of things. So I know a lot of stuff may be in the middle of the day when, you know, they have to work, or especially with small children, giving up a Saturday is really difficult.
The reason that we hear so often, well, how do we get millennials involved, is because it's people who aren't millennials that are in charge. It should be, how do we make sure that everybody knows that they're welcome and they're wanted? And once we figure out that that is the question, then we can finally come up with an answer. And I think that goes to the original point. If everybody doesn't feel like they're wanted, then you really don't have an engaged community. Estill Action Group honestly started as a bunch of early to mid 20-somethings that were most interested in outdoor recreation. They wanted to get involved, they wanted to make good things happen in the community, but they really didn't see how they fit into the current framework of anything that was offered.
The Estill Action Group was started to sort of highlight the bright spots. We wanted to talk about all the good we knew that was already here and help sort of repackage, I guess, what we already have. So, you know, we'll try to do a mushroom hunt and hikes and guided kayaks. We do an inner tubing event out at the Kentucky River Rec Park each year. We help at events at Lily Mountain. We do a chili cook-off, things like that, just to sort of have fun. We want to have fun, and we want people to value and appreciate what a great place this is.
They ended up taking on the Trail Town Task Force and carrying that flag all the way to finally seeing Irvin Ravenna named a Trail Town, which is an amazing feat. And meanwhile, hitting other things like civic engagement, youth voter registration. So the fun stuff and the stuff that needs to be done, and trying to show everybody that those can go hand in hand and they don't have to be boring. So that's kind of where EAG came from. It didn't take very long before they said they wanted to be a division of EDA, because they wanted to be plugged in to all the other stuff that's going on and make sure that they knew there was no duplication and they could help both ways. So it's been awesome. We love them. Being named a certified trail town is locally, it's a badge of honor. It does open doors for us because it legitimizes any of the efforts that we have to promote outdoor recreation.
And my favorite part of it is it's all just kind of highlighting and codifying things we already have. So it's not reinventing the wheel, it's not creating something new. Our primary trail is the Kentucky River, and then we have secondary trails, like between the furnaces is one that is known locally as the Boy Scout Trail, and that's getting some work done and more user-friendly and things like that, plus the trails at Lily Mountain.
Us having that badge saying, yes, they're a trail town, then some of these business folks are going to know that we are ready. We're accepting to promotion of outdoor recreation, of trying to build that infrastructure to promote the activities that are already going on, and know that we've got their back if they want to come in here and set up shop. So not only from a tourism perspective, from a recreation perspective, but also an economic development perspective.
I know one really concrete example is now one of our hardware stores carries camping equipment and kayaks and things like that, literally because of this Trail Town process, to see how involved people have been. And the more I travel throughout the state, the more people know about our natural assets, and we want to be able to promote those in a unified way.
The Estill Rising event, which was funded by an ARC Flexi grant through Brushy Fork, came from an identified issue that we had in Estill County, that there were a lot of folks doing cool things, but those folks didn't necessarily know what the others were doing.
It was a one-day intensive event, and there were separate tracks based on interest. So like a business track and Trail Town Adventure Tourism track and arts focused track. We designed specifically to highlight all of our divisions and talk about what each of those are working towards and what we want them to accomplish and what they want to accomplish, and how does that all feed each other and grow our organization and our communities.
Everybody did their own strategic planning pieces, and we produced those living documents, and we've actually revisited them over the last 3 years.
And we had a lot of people involved who are not normally kind of at the core of our work, which was really awesome because that's something we're always trying to do, is bring new people in
an effort to bring everybody to the same table, be able to offer them some different educational pieces to help them do the good work that they do better, but then also let everyone see that we're part of the larger picture and the larger answer.
We brought in speakers for each track from communities who have already done this in their respective communities. So it's one of those things that's really great to see, like, okay, this is possible. Here's some goals we can work towards. And we got a lot of feedback of like, how do you all want to participate in this? Like, what can we do to help support these goals that will foster growth in our community?
Kentucky Rail Heritage Center is almost 40-acre campus running from the edge of Irvin up next to Ravenna, and it's the part of the former CSX rail yard.
You know, Ravenna was built by the railway. It's the whole reason the whole city's here. It's a huge part of our cultural history.
The Kentucky Steam Heritage Corporation has harnessed our heritage and our history with and paired it with their foaming at the mouth love for everything trains to start moving this vision forward. So the shop is going to focus on the refurbishment and rebuilding of the C&O number 2716, an historic steam engine. We've been working hand in hand with CSX, also with R.J. Corman. The yard office will become a museum space with interactive exhibits, so it'll be a great place for a field trip for any age kid. We've been talking with Estill County schools on how to use the Area Technology Center curriculum.
I would like to see retail and lodging and restaurants and things like that. They've got up to a 100-acre campus, hopefully, in the future. So I think it'll be really great, and we can tie it in with a lot of our local and regional history, as well as, like, trains are fun. So everybody loves that and gets excited.
I mean, our school mascot's the engineers. It doesn't get more trainy than that.
The Mac Theater project is spearheaded by one of our divisions, the River City Players. They have a twofold mission. One is to have arts experiences, and they do theatrical performances and a camp each year. And then the other is to restore and renovate the Mac Theater downtown. And they've gotten several grants to do some not fun stuff like lead and asbestos abatement to get it where it's in usable shape. But the goal is to be able to have events and performances down there.
The Mac Theater project is near and dear to my heart. I used to go to the movies at the Mac when I was a kid, saw E.T. there in 1983 or whatever it was. And then of course they had to close in 93, a lot of contributing factors, but you don't have to search too deep into the internet to figure out that it's hard to run a one-screen theater and show first-run movies. Fast forward, we had a couple attempts to try to do a community effort to do something with the Mac because we didn't want to just see it closed. It's overseen by River City Players, which is an operating division of EDA. I mess with them all the time and just say, well, we'd never had anybody crazy enough or stubborn enough to actually make this really happen until now.
And there will be a day that you come across the bridge in Irvin and that Mac Theater sign is lit up in neon, and it's going to be fantastic.
15 years ago, we were in the middle of the lull in the economy of our community. A lot of the downtown had kind of slowed down. There was a lot less activity. Most folks were leaving the community to do their shopping and that kind of thing. And over that time, we've seen a lot more investment back in home. Folks that make a conscious effort to shop and to keep their money locally, and more folks who are willing to take the big risk, to take the plunge and open their own business. And we've actually got folks outside the community that are looking in to open enterprises and make things happen. In the future, the sky is the limit for what we plan to do in Estill County and in the region. It's hard to pinpoint, well, this is what we're going to do next, because the community is going to drive that bus.
A lot of our stuff is about getting our community and our region ready for what we hope is going to be a really big splash with the Rail Heritage Center. And progress is happening with the MAC. I can't wait till the day that we have events in there and things like that.
We're getting a brand new public library right up the street here. There's our new area technology center. There's a lot of different pieces and parts that are happening, and a lot of those things are they're the pinnacle of projects that have been talked about for 20 years and dreamed about for 50.
It's a lot. We have a lot going on, and it can be overwhelming at times, but like that's a beautiful thing that we have so many things happening that it's like, where do I put my attention? Because that's growth, and that's wonderful.
It just shows you that persistence is key in community and economic development. If you don't just throw your hands up and say, oh, well, we tried. If you can get past that and just stay the course, then it's amazing what you can start to achieve. And that's what we're looking forward to in the future is, all right, what's next? Because we're as excited to see as everybody else. My advice to community leaders, I can't speak to everyone, but I can speak to my people. Appalachia, Central Appalachia, Eastern Kentucky, the folks that I identify with the most. My advice would be to stay persistent. My advice would be to listen. And we've all got those people that, oh, here they come again. They've always got a big, wild, hairy idea. Listen to it and give them the opportunity to take the lead and make it happen. Don't shut down. Don't burn bridges before they've even been crossed. And don't get bogged down in semantics, in Robert's Rules of Order, in, well, it's always been done that way.
Don't give up. Sometimes it takes a while to break through this is how we've always done it, or we tried that once before and it didn't work because of XYZ. Seek out partnerships, because I think there can be a lot of, this is my thing I'm doing, this is ours, we want to protect it. But that doesn't always work well. I know for tourism, we're part of a 5-county region surrounding the Red River Gorge, and we've been able to do so much more together than we could ever dream of doing alone. The work we all do individually can lift everybody up. So working together is much more beneficial than like claiming your piece of the pie on your own.
I would tell folks if they're on the fence about whether or not they think attending the Leadership Summit at Brushy Fork is valuable. Well, if you don't know if you're a leader, you might not think you're a leader. You don't have to wait for anybody to tell you that you're a leader. Just do it. You don't have to wait around. You don't need somebody else to tell you what's on your heart. You don't need somebody else to tell you how you can make your community better. Just grab the bull by the horns and do it. I tell you, you go to the summit, you won't be sorry. So for folks who might not consider themselves a leader, I would say there are always different ways to lead. I've been told that I'm a leader. I don't 100% buy it. Whenever there's a group of people, I say that I run anchor. I'm always the guy in the back. I'm not the one in the front charging ahead with the sword. I'm in the back because I want to make sure that we don't lose anybody. I guess that does make me a leader, even though I'm at the back of the pack. So it just goes to show you, you always have something to contribute. You don't have to be the one in front of everybody with the loud voice and the flashy hair and a cape. You can lead quietly if that's how you need to lead. It's all about setting an example and making sure that other folks see you as acting the way that they would like to act. And I think that's the truest form of leadership that there is. Tomorrow is whatever we want to make of it. And yeah, your mama was right. You can be whatever you want when you grow up.